Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Crypto News Podcast. It's your host, Matt Zahab. We are buzzing as always, and we have an absolute treat of a guest today. These guys have been blowing up on Twitter, or X, whatever you want to call it. They've been blowing up in the crypto waves because we have a new, hot, trendy, sexy, and fast as you know what, L1 in town. And we have a chiseled vet on the show today. Super pumped to welcome Joshua Tobkin on the show today, founder and lead architect of Supra and co-designer of SupraBFT consensus algorithm. Josh has spent 18 plus years in the SaaS business, starting in payments and online gaming. With a successful exit, he has built a shit ton of SaaS companies and previously held positions in growth stage companies as creative director and CTO. This guy knows what he's doing, and we have tried to get him on for a hot minute. We finally got him on as they were launching. Now that they're finally live, can't wait to get into this. Josh, welcome to the show, my friend. How you doing this lovely evening?
Really great, Matt. Thanks for having us.
Super pumped. Also, I got to start. What a logo, and what a color. What a shirt. You guys got some nice swag, eh?
Well, you know, we've been Trump supporters. No, I was kidding. It's a joke. I'm not. My team is full of folks from different, spectrums. It's all good. We don't get political at all. You're permissionless. We don't have an opinion on that. But the name Supra came to us 4 years ago. And before that, we had started a crypto lab, and we were experimenting with scaling Ethereum initially, and then just scaling blockchain at large. And, the word Supra just kind of popped up, just like, it kind of sounds like fast. It kind of sounds like where our intentions are. And when I looked up the word, the etymology and the kind of definition itself means above, like rise above. And yeah, we thought it was very suitable.
I love it. Before we get into Supra, which is obviously the bread and butter and the star of the show, give me a quick sort of TLDR and what you did beforehand. When I was doing research for the show, I mean, everywhere I looked online, and you're obviously all over the internet, it was just like Josh launched 6 gazillion SaaS companies. Like, were you always a SaaS guy? What got you going about SaaS? Maybe talk about your exit in SaaS. Give me the whole sort of SaaS playbook, everything you did there, and then segue into the crypto journey, and then we'll get into Supra and all the fun stuff there.
Sure. So my first real startup, I mean, I have been doing things on the internet for a long time. I think my first website I was like 11 years old, so a long time ago. Trying to figure this out. Oh yeah. Like, I was very obsessed. I was getting in trouble by my parents, like telling me to come down to dinner, have the family dinner. And I was like, no, just give me 20 more minutes, and just trying to grind through the source code, trying to understand how this works. It was so new back then, and I was just very obsessed. And, fast forward to about 20, 21, 22, that range. Yeah. Well, I guess in between that, I had also done things like sold like guitars or whatever my family or friends and, whatever wanted to offload on eBay. And so I was like, wow, this is awesome. Kind of like there's this internet, like global marketplace, and I'm sending these things out, taking photos of it, and people are buying it. And then they'd actually leave a good review. They're really happy with it. I was like, wow, this is awesome. So this is when I was 16. So in between that, I had gone to boarding school in South Korea, and they did not let us use the internet. So I didn't get to really... Yeah, it was very limited. They had some computers, computer time. It was just for emails for parents. You couldn't do anything else. So that was a little bit of, it is what it is. But back to SaaS, and I went to university, was very much obsessed with online poker. Decided to drop out and give up the scholarship to play poker professionally online, and also,
I love that.
Yeah, also kind of underage. Yeah, like going to Atlantic City into Trump, casino, whatever they're called, the Taj Mahal. And I've been kicked out of casinos a couple times because I was too young, and, but the other 2/3 of the time was fine, but also there was in New Jersey, the movie Rounders, that's like based in New York and New Jersey. I was basically living that lifestyle in my early 20s. I don't recommend it, by the way. As they say, poker is the easy way or hard way to make a easy living or whatever, because basically don't do it unless you're committed to it. That level of the game. And also I was constantly also kind of understanding the internet and like really getting back into that. And my partner at the time, he was a player online. I never actually met him in person, even to this day. And we worked together for years. He was like 16. I was like 21, 22. And he pitched me this idea of Rakeback. He's like, oh, Josh, I know that you're making websites. At the time, actually, I created a ebook of all things where I kind of summarize how to calculate odds real quickly, kind of just ways. I basically studied really deeply and condensed the knowledge into a short ebook, and I was selling it just by spamming chat rooms and the poker rooms. Just me and a couple
Oh
of
my
executive
God.
assistants. We're just copy pasting this at the rooms, and dude, it was interesting because I was making a couple $100 a day in sales. Once you make the ebook, everything else is margin from there. And
Exactly.
it was good content, to be honest. I really put the best information I could. And then he saw that and we started talking. We also played against each other, and I didn't know who he was. It turned out he was a 16-year-old kid playing on his mom's account, playing high stakes poker that stakes it to this day. And I'm almost 40 years old now. I still haven't played. So he
That's wild.
he truly was a
Prodigy.
poker prodigy. He was,
Yeah.
and his handle was poker prodigy, you know?
That's hilarious.
So yeah, I'll try to go a little bit faster about the story, but long story short, he told me about this thing called Rakeback, and I knew about Rakeback, but he was like, let's start one together. It's like, you could see that I can make websites and do things online. And I was like, all right, sure. He was very well connected to large players. No one really knew he was only 16, 17 years old. And I helped make the website. We became partners. I set up the infrastructure. He connected me with the right folks, and he did a lot of the negotiations with me with these poker rooms. We're talking about PokerStars, Tilted Poker, Absolute Bet, or Absolute Poker, Ultimate Bet, and also like smaller rooms like Paradise Poker, Carbon Poker, Bodog, others, right? And the way that works is, what is Rakeback? It's, every single hand in poker, there's rake, right? And this is the feed to the poker room. And we would go to these rooms and say, hey, listen, we have like 7,000 active players on our list. It wasn't that huge, but it was something that we could bring to you, and we just want half the revenue. And then what we would do is give 80 or 90% of that back to the player. So our margin was like, between 10 to 20% of the actual, gameplay. So we started this, it was really interesting. We'd see the charts and the data go up, and we see our player growth grow up. And actually, I think we were probably the ninth largest Rakeback, and this is online poker affiliate in the world at that stage. We were called VIPRakeback.net back in the day. And oh man, we learned a lot about guerrilla marketing, because at this stage you couldn't do paid advertisements anymore. It was not allowed in the States. Anyhow, we grew, and then Black Friday hit, unfortunately, and then it became illegal in the United States. That's where we're based. My partner wanted to continue the business. I wanted to do other things because, poker, as much as I love it to this day, it is a zero-sum game. There's a winner and a loser, and the house always wins in terms of rake. So I felt like my skills and talents and, what I'm here to do is beyond that. So I made a deal with my partner, sold it to him, and he continued to go on and do very, very well in the global market outside the United States. I spent my time and the resources to experiment. I traveled the world a bit, experimented with all kinds of different websites, various things. I mean, it was really interesting, and this is important to my growth because I would create things online that actually would go viral. And I was like, how do I make money from this? Oh crap, it's costing me money for servers, and just like every month it's costing me things, but I don't have a means to make money from this. And that's where I realized it's so important to have a business model, and like to understand that these business models you can't just make them up. It's basically more or less, they have to create value, and you have to be able to capture some value from that. So create value first and then capture some value. That's how it works. Anyways, that was a big awakening. A lot of experimentation across the board, got better at building things. And that ultimately landed me creating something called Wholesome with my friend from boarding school, who's very different, very similar to me, but very different. I mean, he's also half Korean. I'm half Korean, and we went to boarding school. It was a pretty prestigious boarding school in South Korea. He went on to like Harvard, Oxford. I went on to drop out and play poker. But we were both in our
smart
respective
cookies.
classes.
Both smart cookies. Yeah.
Yeah, we were both considered the smartest in our class. Well, he was a year younger than me. And we got together. We're like, dude, what are you up to? I was like, whoa. Anyways, I was building websites, and we decided to create wholesome.io. It's not working right now. This version of it, a different version of it is active right now for a different niche. This was, my focus at this stage was an all-in-one platform, a single platform where you can do everything. Billing, appointments, website builder, note-taking, intake forms, all kinds of things, one platform. Zoom integration, that was pretty new back in the day. And yeah, I mean, like I said, even to say version of that for a different niche, that original one was for doctors. and healthcare workers. This other one is for a slightly different niche, still in the healthcare industry, which is running today and on autopilot. I have not focused on it almost at all for about 4 years, a little bit more than that, and still it exists. So that's a nice sign. So yeah, I mean, these things I've been very much obsessed about the internet and how it can connect the world and business models and value creation and value capture. And at this stage, I'm late 2016 in San Francisco, and I am introduced to Ethereum. And I think this is like the worst database I've ever seen.
Classic.
Yeah, classic. I'm San Francisco, right?
Yeah.
Is you're like, okay,
Yeah.
high performance. And back then, SaaS was a big thing, software as a service, SaaS. And cloud was kind of just a couple of years before that. And I'm focused on centralized performance, low latency. I'm like, well, why would you ever do things on a blockchain? And because, I mean, of course I knew Bitcoin, but I wasn't really into it too much. I didn't even own any, but I've known about it. By the way, I want to mention my co-founder in the first VIP rate back project. They started accepting Bitcoin. Anyways, yeah, very genius young prodigy to say, let's put it that way. But yeah, more or less, you can imagine I'm so focused on a single platform that can do everything in a low latency manner, right? And I see this lowest database I've ever seen. I'm like, I don't think this makes sense. I can't understand this. And then eventually, after a good friend of mine shows me her wallet, she's like, yeah, this was 10,000 a little bit ago. And now it's like, 107,000. I was like, I've never seen that before. So it got my attention.
This might interest me a little.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, I'm not going to lie. I was in my early 30s. And yeah, I was like, okay, that's compelling. Let's take another look at this. And then finally, I connected the dots. I was like, oh, you know what? Back in those rate back days, I used to complain to my partner, right, that these poker rooms are ripping us off. Like, I could see our player growth go up, but yet the margin and the payout was not correlated, but we had no proof. We couldn't prove anything. We had to accept the data they gave us. Once I saw that, I realized, there is a trust issue. There's a big trust issue.
There's no ledger.
There's no ledger, and I can't prove anything otherwise. So once I connected those dots, I was like, oh, actually, there are a lot of use cases where there's middlemen or inefficiencies. This could be huge. So at that point, by early 2017, I went all in, put my startup in autopilot, the SaaS product in autopilot, and spent all my time trying to understand how to scale Ethereum in particular. And, started connecting to the crypto underground world of San Francisco and going to events. I started reading white papers, and it was pretty much my entire waking life other than the work I had to do for a consultancy. I actually worked for another ad tech company. That company did almost sell for $1 billion eventually, and had some consulting work for that. But beyond that, I pretty much focused fully on blockchain, pretty much all in because of principle. Because I thought like, I actually finally see it. Like I always wanted to build value. That's a given. I always wanted to give back. I always wanted to create something that folks can benefit from. And I always knew that was an important fundamental principle to capture value. You have to create more value than you take. Otherwise it's, parasitic. So, all that was there, but, ultimately, there's so much to learn. And what I did is I created a very small group. It was called the Bitcoin White Paper Club. The Bay Area Bitcoin White Paper Club. There's like 15 of us. Some of those folks in my group actually ended up creating major protocols that launched way before us, by the way, but they became billion-dollar protocols. And I was just surrounded by, it was like incubation. It was like a cradle,
Yeah.
Yeah. And some of those folks that I got to meet in early 2017, they created major change later as well. And yeah, we are a little bit late in terms of they all launched like years ago. We just launched like last week for MENA, at least, and Token Generation event. The long story short, it's been an incredible journey, and the things I learned from SaaS have really influenced my thinking today. Like that, we do have to have sustainable business models. You can't just only think about just short-term pumps.
Yeah, 100%. What a great intro. One last thing before we get into Supra. You are big, at least to my knowledge and from the podcast I've listened and from the research I've done on you. You are a game theory nerd, a game theory lover. I am correct on that, right? You do love your freaking game theory?
I do. I'm not going to say I'm the most technical and the best at this, but all those millions of hands of poker, you see so many angles. And then also, thinking
business.
business logic and also value creation. Like in the end, to create a cooperative game, there has to be something in it for everyone. So it kind of shapes my general thinking at large.
I love that. And let's jump right into Supra there. And maybe if you could sort of build a little analogy, regarding game theory as well, but give the elevator pitch on Supra, how you guys are not just another L1 that's launching. I also think it's great timing. A couple of years ago, if you guys would have launched, the L1 thing wasn't that trendy. It wasn't that sexy. A lot of people thought L2s were the future. I mean, now you have ETH with the new upgrade that supposedly is coming in 2029, which to my knowledge is almost going to nullify L2s. Really makes absolutely zero sense to me. But again, c'est la vie. But L1s are clearly the future. You need to own the whole tech stack. You need to own the front, the back. You need to own everything. You guys are doing that. So let's jump right into it. Tell us a little bit about Supra and what exactly you guys are building there.
Sure. So smart contract platforms need to do more than just what smart contract platforms do, meaning these blockchains, we talk about world computers, but they don't communicate with the outside world. They don't communicate with each other. So how could this be a world computer? So what Supra is doing is we call it full integration. It's a single stack that does smart contract execution. So right now we've gone to market with Move language. The EVM is the Ethereum virtual machine, Solidity support is coming very soon. We have an stage net almost in testnet. We'll move out to mainnet very soon. Actually, when you think about smart contract platforms, and just these computer networks at large, the language itself we're agnostic. It's a generalized compute platform. We can handle different programming languages and frameworks. So this is why we actually are like, you know what, Supra is going to go to market with Move language. It is more secure. It is a very nice framework. We're huge fans of Move, but EVM support, there's so much adoption that it makes sense. Like if folks are familiar with this, why not cater to them? But also Solana has grown. So we also want to support the SVM and the CosmWasm ecosystem. There's a lot of great code out there across all these ecosystems. Why not put it to use? What Supra is doing and what we offer is speed, also known as SupraBFT, but really the name is called Moonshot Consensus. Moonshot Consensus has been accepted to top academic venues. We've formally proven its safety through what's called formal verification, the Microsoft Ivy Checker. More or less what I'm trying to say is we are pretty confident for the classical BFT, Byzantine fault-tolerant consensus algorithm. For this type of algorithm, we're pretty confident. Like actually, I don't want to say 100% because you never know, but we're like
99.9.
Yeah, like 99.2% confident that this is the maximum you can take this type of algorithm. And if that is true, and I'm pretty sure, and I'm surrounded by very genius computer scientists, and if we all believe this is true, then this must be very valuable and useful. And I do believe it is true. So Supra, great, smart contract, low latency, high throughput, wonderful. There's a lot of chains that can do that. But they don't all do the following. They don't all vertically integrate Oracle price feeds, cross-chain communication, on-chain randomness, on-chain automation. Okay, so folks may not know that blockchains don't have automation, or they don't have a decentralized if this then that service. So this is very obvious for me that we need this because my experience with SaaS, there's so many things that we're running cron jobs for things to execute at certain particular times, and blockchains don't have that, and it didn't make any sense to me. So what we're talking about is actually building something that we believe will be the actual world computer. I mean, XRP, love it. Happy for them, their success. I have friends that are doing great, tell me that they're geniuses. And I'm like, okay, cool. Happy for you. I'm really always happy for people's success. But in the end, your blockchain needs to be able to communicate with the world. It needs oracles. It needs cross-chain communication protocol. It needs bridge. And it also needs automation, decentralized if this and that. Otherwise, it's not a computer. Let's put it that way. Or it's a very limited computer. Maybe it's like the ENIAC. ENIAC was like the machine.
Yeah.
So blockchains today are more like ENIAC, and what we're bringing to the world today is more like an iPhone.
I love that. I mean, you brought up XRP. We'll get right back into Supra, but we'll just spend literally 30 seconds on this. How wild is this XRP price action? Like this is, I mean, I'm the same as you. We've had a couple XRP guests on the show, a couple of Ripple guests. I want everyone to succeed. I want everyone to make as big of a bag as possible, but I still don't really know what XRP does, and who's building on XRP with XRP. And, they're up, 500% in the last month. It's wild. What the heck's going on there?
I don't know what's going on, but I'll tell you this much.
No one knows what's going on. Usually at least have a reasoning behind this price action. No one has a clue why they've ripped.
Well, actually, I happen to know someone that may be like very well connected person. And this person said that if the US is going to roll out like a federal stablecoin, maybe that's a legend.
Wow.
I mean, now, by the way, I don't know. Okay, that is speculation. I don't know if this is true at all.
Yes.
But this is like the rumor mill. Now, you got to hand it to, was it Chris Larson and Brad Garlinghouse, I think?
Yeah.
They have very much been following the rule of law. I mean, to the best of their ability. I mean, meaning like they've been paying a lot of attention to that.
Yes.
So if they're winning these, different cases in this new political environment in the United States, maybe they have a foot in. Plus, the thing that they have that others don't is that they've been around for so long.
Exactly. Yeah. They're OGs. Yeah.
Right. Now, in terms of decentralization, in terms of their algorithms, all that stuff is like nowhere close to what we're doing. Like I could definitely say anytime we'll outperform them. That's no contest for sure. Nonetheless, they have staying power and they have a brand name and they've been around for a long time, and so that has value as well. That's about all I know. I don't own any XRP.
100%.
But that's what I heard. Now, I want to point out that some of these folks are delusional because they say that it's going to $10. I'm like, okay, you know what that does, right? That puts it to over $1 trillion value. Maybe it's possible, maybe not. I don't know. I think it's delusional, not financial advice one way or the other. But I'm like, I just don't really see a world where XRP can be bigger than Ethereum anytime soon. Now,
yeah, you and I are in the same boat.
Yeah,
100%.
Yeah.
Look,
Yeah.
let's jump back into
Sure.
Supra. Before that, though, very quick ad read, and then we will get into it. Can't wait to keep jumping into this. Huge shout out to Prime XBT, as you guys are long-time listeners of the pod. They've been around for a while. We love them, as they offer a robust trading system for both beginners and professional traders. It doesn't matter if you're a rookie or a vet. You can easily design and customize your layouts and widgets to best fit your trading style. Prime XBT is also running an exclusive promo for listeners of the Crypto News pod. Use the promo code CryptoNews50, that is CryptoNews50, all one word, to receive 50% of your deposit credited to your trading account. Again, that is a 50% bonus on your deposit credited to your trading account with Crypto News 50. And now back to the show with Josh. One of the questions that's my favorite question that I am going to ask, and I'm going to ask you right now. Bunch of new L1s coming out, and you got some trendy ones like Sui. I was fortunate enough to have the Sui team on the pod. We did some in-person interviews with them as well at various crypto conferences. These guys are brilliant. They remind me of you. Super, super smart lads and lasses who are just building a very powerful, very quick, very efficient L1. Obviously, you have Sol. I'm a bit of I don't want to say Sol maxi, but I love Sol as well. I think it's one of the most fun chains. Even just, messing around with meme coins on Sol. I've messed around on Base. I've messed around on ETH. I've messed around on Sol. The UX, the UI on Sol is infinitely better, in my opinion, over those other ones. I still don't know why Base gets so much credit, or at least pizzazz, and everyone's like, oh, Base is the future, Base is the future. And if you've ever tried to buy a meme coin on Base, I don't know how you could say that. But again, we'll save that for round 2 with you. What makes you guys different? What sets Supra apart from the really solid L1s like the Solanas and the Suis?
Sure. So Sui they are a fantastic team. Aptos as well. We've been really big fans of them for a long time. We're just different. I mean, these guys are running very state-of-the-art decentralized acyclic graphs. They're DAGs, DAGs. And there's really wonderful performance here. The difference between us and them is that we know for a fact that those algorithms don't scale beyond 150 nodes because we ran tests. And by the way, Supra has also innovated what actually might be the state-of-the-art in terms of DAG technology. It's called Sailfish. You guys can look it up. In the academic circle, they know that this is probably the most performing DAG out there. I do believe folks from Aptos and Sui researchers have said, actually, this is very interesting and may outperform us. You got to understand the researchers, academics, they are not necessarily in the biz dev world. They're just purely about the facts. Long story short.
Yeah.
Long story short, we have run tests on globally distributed tests on these DAGs, including Sailfish, and it's hard to beat Supra's moonshot design. The more nodes you have with the DAGs, the more communication complexity. Basically, once you go beyond 150, 200 nodes, you start to see major degradation of performance. Now, Supra in our design and our network architecture and our insights, we see actually incredible performance and low latency beyond what these DAGs can do. Now, if there is an innovation, and we actually are working on some of the things to kind of outfit Supra's architecture with Sailfish DAG, and if Sailfish DAG outperforms Supra's Moonshot, guess what? Supra as a monolithic network, so to speak, like a mega monolith, meaning it's a single shared security network that does multiple services. Each components in that monolith are actually modular. So our consensus protocol, if there's something better, we can plug in Supra's Sailfish DAG. But right now, it does not appear that if the node network is to expand beyond 150 to 200 nodes, that these DAGs can scale, whereas Supra has the aspiration to handle at least 500 nodes, so 3 to 4 times larger, as well as maintaining its security properties and performance, throughput as well as latency. And we actually have another kind of concept and design to let us expand to thousands of nodes. We'll have to come up and follow up on that. But yeah, I mean, when it comes down to it, we all have extreme performance, great. But the one thing that we had that DAGs are going to have a hard time doing is more decentralization.
Interesting. So, I mean, this may be an absolute no-brainer here, but in a current market where modularity seems to be the trend, the thing, what is the value prop for an integrated chain? And I guess just a follow up, do you think the modular thesis is sustainable long term in that regard?
So let's kind of remind ourselves, what is the point of the modular thesis, right? First of all, they're a result of Ethereum layer 1 not scaling. That might be hard for our audience to hear, but it's true. So back in the day,
100%.
In 2017, Ethereum was proof of work, and the whole buzz was about switching to proof of stake. Now, everyone thought that when you move from proof of work to proof of stake, Ethereum would be way more scalable. But it turns out the consensus algorithm, the block reduction, execution didn't really change all that much, right? And then, 2018 range, Ethereum's roadmap was shards. They were trying to be a sharded protocol, which was a little bit bizarre that they're going for 1,024 shards. This is not a good design either, but it's better than the layer 2 roadmap, in my humble opinion. The layer 2 roadmap came out in 2019, 2020 as an emergency pivot to seeing Solana, AVAX, Phantom coming out and scaling EVM, or just high throughput layer 1s like Solana in particular. They had to compete. So they had to pivot. So they pivoted away from their original plan to layer 2s. Layer 2 was not the original design. This is a pivot. Many newcomers don't know that. The truth is that is the truth. You can look it up. Now, the problem with layer 2s is that you have broken composability, meaning one layer 2 is its own silo, and another is another silo. And also, Arbitrum doesn't want to cooperate with Optimism. They're competitive, actually. Base doesn't want to, so now you have this, it's hard for them to play cooperative games when they have their strong incentive not to cooperate, because they're buying for the same dApps and users and liquidity. So broken composability means broken shared liquidity. And this is not good for blockchain, because the whole thing about blockchain is about composability. So the major thing is like a global decentralized infrastructure where you can have this permissionless shared liquidity, composability. Once you break that, it's like, well, man, that's just kind of doesn't make it as awesome as before. So you asked about the modular thesis, if this is going to be scalable or whatnot. Well, I was on a panel at Permissionless in Utah, I guess about a month or so ago, and we had a debate. It was me and Kyle Samani from Multicoin versus Nick White from Celestia and Rushi from Moodler Labs, talking about modular versus integrated, right? And actually, Rushi did say, in his words, something along the lines that 95% of these modular experiences will fail. And to his credit, yes.
Wow.
Well, he said that, but to his credit, yes, there are many teams working on these various components. And some of them do have major breakthroughs. But most of these, and I agree, most of these experiments will fail. So it's not sustainable, for one. Two, I do want to really emphasize that Supra is designed, yes, as a shared security network. So it's monolithic in that it's one node network. But each of the components, the consensus protocol, the data availability protocol, the cross-chain communication, automation, Oracle price feeds, on-chain randomness protocols, they're modular. So any global scale network needs to be built modularly. It's Facebook, anything like that. It's modularly built. There's different components.
Yeah.
No?
Yeah.
So if there is a modular component that is better than what we've designed, And I'm not trying to sound pompous here, but we do believe we have hit the sweet spot for every protocol that we've designed. There's like 10 of them, many of which have gone to top academic venues through a double-blinded peer review process. In some sense, I just want to mention that Supra is kind of like Cardano, that we do take a very rigorous academic approach. And you can verify this. But yes, ultimately, we have a single token that powers all our protocols, all their components. Single token for layer 1, single token for our price fees, automation, crossing communication, on-chain randomness, and beyond. Whereas the modular world has fragmentation, different network, right? Different network for data availability, different network for settlement, different network for sequencing, different network for price feeds, different network for bridge, different network for automation. What does that do to the developer? The developer now has to manage multiple coins, different frameworks, different programming languages. That's not great. It's not a great developer experience. But imagine this also. It's slower. Why? It's slower. There's more latency because you have to communicate to an external network. That network has to run its protocol, reach its agreement or consensus, then respond back to you, whereas in our system, it's more in parallel happening. Everything's happening in parallel. And there's less security because the smart contract, right, can't do as much without price feeds, without communicating with other blockchains. If you have a smart contract platform that can only do things within its own ecosystem, its expressivity is dampened, right? So
you need utility. You need a shit ton of utility.
That's right. I mean, we have price fees for cryptocurrency, FX, commodities. We're rolling out indexes, so folks can actually take combinations of our price fees and make it a new feed. And this is kind of, I shouldn't have announced this. It's pre-announcement. Go ahead, guys, go ahead and say it. But I guess it's airing a little bit later than this recording. But long story short, folks can create like a meme coin index or move index where they say, sweet alpha Supra, let's put into one move related feed and weight it its own way. So we can create different data feeds, which allow protocols to create different markets. This is coming to Supra. This is only possible on Supra. But yeah, back to your question about modularity, the sustainability of it. Well, imagine if each of these different networks are competing with each other. They have their own incentives. They have their own token. They also have their different security guarantees. Your application that uses some external party, your smart contract application on this very secure layer 1, however, has now inherited the security of the weakest component you've integrated, which is outside of layer 1. Supra services are designed to have layer 1 security. This will become obvious in the very near future, in my humble opinion, that you need shared security across all these various components that make your smart contract do more things. So that's what we're doing. It's just an all-in-one blockchain. So think of it that way.
I love that. I wish we had more time here. We are getting a little tight for time. And we're going to have you on for round 2, especially with how quick you guys are moving. We've talked a lot about sort of the tech side, the L1 itself. I'd love to talk about the coin. No price predictions or anything like that. I mean, not that you would ever say anything like that, but walk me through the utility of the coin. Especially, I'm very curious about with all the integrations that you guys have planned with how powerful the blockchain is, the L1 is. Seems like a lot of really cool shit can be built on and with Supra. And earlier on in the show, you did say that this is one single token for both sort of users and devs. I hope I'm right on that, but give me sort of not the elevator pitch, but just explain the utility of the coin, maybe why you guys chose to have, I think 100 billion is the total supply, but just walk me through everything and anything about Supra token.
I think, so we do want to have global scale, and to global like that, you have to, I mean, like you could have 1 billion, 10 billion. We actually thought it'd be better user experience to denominate in a small increments. We do think that, I think XRP has 100 billion also, just FYI. Not that we copied them or modeled from them, but maybe we did. Wink, wink. No. But I met the CTO of XRP a couple times. A great guy. These folks are, actually almost all of them. I've had a chance to meet Vitalik, Anatoly, other folks, and I have only great things to say. I'm actually huge fans of what they do. And Supra is only a result of standing on the shoulders of giants. We got to see what everyone else has done, and we got to integrate it together. So if you ever describe a super token, not Supra, a super token, you'd imagine a super token, utility token, you'd imagine it to do more than one thing. Most layer 1s just use their gas token, that's their token, that's it. But Supra is a multi-service infrastructure where we do layer 1 MultiVM, as well as price sheets, oracles, cross-chain communication, bridge, automation, decentralized if this and that, on-chain randomness. This is another major service that we use that actually over 100 projects, I believe, at this stage on other mainnets are using our services. I think it's like 156 projects right now on other mainnets, layer ones and layer twos that are using our price feeds and on-chain randomness.
Wow.
Yeah, so Supra S is the gas token for the Supra layer one. Great. Our various services are paid to Supra. It's just everything's going to Supra. But also what's unique about Supra's super token, quote unquote, not financial advice. However, we do really focus on utility, single token model that have the most utility possible. So imagine, we continue to, well, first of all, I am very biased, but also I think this can be proven that our algorithms are better in price feeds and BRF than what's out there, DRF is, or DVRF is decentrally verifiable random function. That might be a little bit debatable, but we definitely have among the state of the art there. But I'm quite confident that our Oracle protocol price feeds is better than what's out there. It's faster and more secure, faster finality and more secure because layer one security guarantees. This is what we're designing for, right? Now, if this proves out to be true and other applications on other chains use us because it's more fair, there's less manipulation, it's basically a better algorithm, let's put it that way, and more decentralized. First of all, I definitely think over time we're going to have the most decentralized price feed Oracle out there. If this is true, right, and if it gets adoption from dApp builds across other ecosystems, those other ecosystems will have to start to pay us in Supra token. They pay it for our services, Supra tokens in Supra, right? So it's kind of unique because different external networks are paying our layer one in our token for our services. I haven't seen this before. Now, yeah. So as our competitors turn their fees on and start to charge in the Oracle space, Supra doesn't also have to turn our fees on immediately because that's actually not even our main revenue model. We use Oracle integration price feeds to create value, and the value capture share will charge some. Sure, we'll turn those fees on eventually, but really our motivation is to bring them to Supra itself and redeploy on Supra as a multi-VM platform. EVM products, protocols, projects, Solana VM projects, protocols, MultiVM, etc. Very soon, I'm talking about hopefully before this time next year, all of those projects can deploy on Supra directly and have, imagine not even have to change your code, just deploy and have access to our price feed Oracle, have access to your cross-chain communication protocol, have access to automation. None of those other chains have those additional services, natively, low latency, shared security. It's going to enable new things. And long story short, though, yeah, single token model, gas fee token, pay for price feeds, on-chain randomness, cross-chain communication, automation. We'll service many ecosystems. I think we're on 80 mainnets and testnets right now already. We'll be everywhere because we can deploy quickly. But also, really, what it comes down to is the quality of the algorithms themselves. And we spent a lot of time, very, very, very tedious time, and a lot of back and forth, and passing the PhD academic rigor to say that this is what we think is state of the art. If this is true, and our competitors turn their fees on, and we don't have to turn our fees on immediately, but we also have the better algorithm, it's a no-brainer. Now, when we do turn our fees on through network governance, we don't have to charge as much as our competitors. Actually, I straight up I'll just be clear with this. We're going to undercut our competitors. They're going to charge too much. And we're going to feel like, well, we're cheaper and we're better or faster and we're more secure. That's basically the pitch. It's a no-brainer. But ultimately, really, our end game is inviting them into Supra directly. The code you've already worked on and audited, why don't you consider deploying it on Supra directly? And you can do more things, by the way. It'll be a lot faster, by the way. So that's kind of our point of view here.
I love that. What a way to end it. One last thing, Josh, and this was an incredible epi. Really appreciate your time here. Any news? Obviously, this is going to air a week after you and I record on Monday, December 9th. This is going to go live. Any news popping off? Anything that you can let us know about before we let you go today?
Yeah, okay. So we have a cross-chain communication protocol partnership with a major bridge provider that many of you folks know. That should be EVM to Supra live about the same time this podcast goes live. So roughly, let's say that the bridge from Ethereum to Supra is coming very soon. Our automation network is well in development, coming out to testnet soon after testing to mainnet. Automation, once again, is really powerful, is automatic. Let's put it this way. If you have a layer one with automation, decentralized, if this and that, with price feeds and cross-chain communication, single stack, shared security, low latency, you can do really sophisticated cross-chain strategies. And
we do a whole lot of stuff.
Yes. So to answer your question, yes, I'll tease this a little bit. our main marketing push, maybe January, maybe before, maybe a little bit after, is going to be around this narrative of Supra being the world's first intra layer, a middleware network that coordinates asset and value exchange across all these different networks. Intra means within, so a network within. Supra means above, so a network within simultaneously, paradoxically, within and above. And what I'm trying to say is that we have these concepts called autonomous decentralized agents, which are basically smart contracts that can use automation, data price feeds to transparently, deterministically execute cross-chain transactions. Now, this is a little bit of spoiler, and we're still working on this. There is possibly an AI component here, AI that can plug into data sets that can automatically execute strategies on your behalf, executed on Supra logic, which is we're trying to be this middleware network that communicates multiple chains, but the combination of smart contract, automation, price feeds, and now AI agents, I'm pretty positive that this will be the future. And we have literally the only infrastructure that can facilitate this thing. So we're early, their narrative's not fully out there, but if you wanted to get a peek into the future, this is where we're headed.
I love that. Josh, what an episode. Really appreciate you coming on. This was an absolute treat, and I got some homework to do. And I definitely wouldn't bet against you guys if I was one of the listeners. But I will just say one quick thing. Obviously, there is no financial advice on this podcast. But when I've had a couple opportunities when incredible guests like Josh come on the show, one in particular on the top of my head was the Sui team. And again, just for the listeners, a lot of teams and founders will go on the podcast circuit and they will go on the big marketing push when they have finally launched and when they have a lot of value to give. What did Josh say on one of the first sort of riffs of the show? Business is all about creating value and capturing value. These guys are creating a bunch of value, and in return, they will capture value, which again, that will only do one thing. You guys can figure out what that is. So just, I'm not going to say it, but you guys know what I'm thinking. But enough from me. Josh, incredible episode. Really appreciate you coming on. Before you go, can you please let our listeners know where they can find you personally and, of course, Supra online and on socials?
Sure. So Supra.com. Supra.com, that's the best ways to get the most information. There really is a lot of material there. There's videos, there's white papers, there's light papers. We try to distill it. We have translations as well. My handle is Joshua Tobkin on X. But Supra's main handle is Supra_labs on X. And definitely, follow us for more information. I do want to stress that this is just the beginning. We have what I consider to be what is required to actually build a global computer. And this would not be possible without Bitcoin going first, Ethereum going after, Solana, AVAX, Phantom going next, Chainlink going after that, Gelato. And Supra's insight is how to figure out, we had to see all those components before we could realize that we should bring it all together in a shared security network. And of course, we have innovated from first principles every single algorithm and protocol. So join us on this journey. No, not financial advice. Oh, I should mention, Supra's team doesn't sell for 6 to 12 months at least. I will lock up for more than 12 months. Beyond, I've been doing this for this particular project for over about 4 years. Like this word Supra, we used to be called Super Oracles, where, back then we went to market as Oracle, but actually I just want everyone to know, Layer 1 was always part of the design. It was always to come out as a Layer 1 with oracles, with on-chain randomness. This was always part of the design. So it's not like, we pivoted. No. We talked to our SEEP investors, some of the good folks at 3AC and FTX, for example, which we're refunding. We told them the plan. We're going to market as Oracle because we just couldn't compete as Layer 1 at this stage. But there was such a huge gap. There's only really Chainlink at the stage. So just to kind of summarize what we're doing at Supra, if you were to say, just when I describe this to new folks, I was like, well, imagine if you could have a single network that was Solana with Chainlink integrated. Single network is like Solana plus Chainlink plus Layer 0, Gelato all in one. And with a single token, that's what we're building. And, us going to market with multiple protocols, obviously is more difficult than just going to market with the consensus algorithm, which we have, which is probably better than for the BFT algorithms of our type, probably the maximum. And anyways, find us on Twitter or X, I just want to let y'all know that this is just the beginning, and the Supra team itself is not selling anything directly at all for the next 6 to 12 months minimum. I'm such a believer in what we're doing. I'm not interested in selling anytime soon. not financial advice straight up, but I want you all to know that because we've been accused of this. And the truth is, no, this is just market dynamics that it be. And there's a lot of really great news as we have product updates we'll be announcing in the near future.
I love it. Folks, what an episode. All world from Josh Tobkin, founder of Supra. Guys, we got into a little bit of everything. We discussed building the world's computer, Josh's journey into crypto, everything Supra, the super fast L1, more secure EVM support, you name it, built on Move. And of course, we jumped into what sets Supra apart from other layer ones like Solana and Sui. If you guys enjoyed this one, I hope you did. Please do subscribe. It would mean the world to my team and I. Speaking of the team, love you guys. Thank you so much for everything. And back to the listeners, keep on growing those bags and keep on staying healthy, wealthy, and happy. Love you guys. Thanks for tuning in. And we will see you on the next one. Ciao.